Hey there, welcome back to another pick a card. I'm Abby, your psychic strategist, and today what we're going to do is we're going to do a pick a card all to do with Venus. So I'm basically going to do a series of pick a cards for all of the different planets, and I'm also going to do other astrological points and asteroids, and I'm just going to build it up over time. Obviously, I'm sure any of you that maybe follow some of my stuff, I'm completely erratic and irregular with what I do and when I do it, because I'm also a Doctor of Chiropractic, have 2 different clinics that I run. I also help my partner with his tech recruiting company. We're building that up together, and I've set up a corporate chiropractic business. So the thing is, so many things are going off, but I love doing this. I just love doing this. It feels amazing. So I'm going to always try and do it as much as I can, but just bear with me with this series. It will happen erratically and as and when I can do it. So we're going to have 5 piles for you to choose from, and this reading, I feel I'm going to be doing it quite structured. We're going to look at 3 things specifically. We're going to look at love, we're going to look at money, and we're specifically going to look at your value, self-value, everything to do with value. So, as always, feel into this. Is your message in message number 1? Is your message in message number 2? Is your message in message number 3? Is your message in message number 4? And is your message in message number 5? I'm also leaving the sunlight to do whatever the hell it wants, because I love it. I think it's beautiful when it comes in. It feels like amazing energy, so we're just going to leave that. But anyway, first of all, let's go straight on to message number 1. So hi guys, this is for everybody that chose message number 1, for everything that Venus wants to tell you right now about love, money and value. So first thing I'm going for is one of these cards, and I'm going to sort of channel it a bit because they're not exactly tarot cards, but obviously it really doesn't matter. So let's just see what energy is coming out for you guys to begin with. Oh wow, I just think these cards are so beautiful looking. So we have this one here that says Indiana Dunes National Park. Oh, and it's like a stork and a boat and a sunset and 3 birds, 4 birds. Okay, so really what I'm feeling about this from the very beginning, about what Venus wants to tell you guys, is number 1, oh my goodness guys, you guys need to relax. You need to be so much softer on yourselves, less hard, less judgmental. I'm just getting that. And it is actually time to just relax a little bit and let all your hard work bring things to you. Now, 100% I'm not an advocate of you not doing nothing. I think action is really, really important. But this action feels very kind of soft, is all I can say. This isn't about pushing it. This is more like gliding with the currents. Because like this boat with the sails, it's the wind that's helping the boat move. And again, like with these birds, I feel like these birds are all using the air currents to help them gain leverage and momentum. And I feel like that's what Venus wants you to know from the very beginning. So we're having this put straight in the middle of your reading. And there was something else I just really wanted to say. Oh yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to first of all build it around where we're going with all of this. So what we're having is, this side is all to do with love, this side is all to do with money, and then at the top here we're going to have to do with value, and then we're going to build it out from there. We're not going to read anything reversed as well that I'm hearing. So love, let's see, we have 2 of Wands, and we also have the Hermit. Okay, so instantly what I'm feeling with this is, I think the Venus energy is really interesting. Both of these people here are looking over to the left, And the left, I always see left side of the body is connected to the right side of the brain because how it sets up neurologically. And in Chinese medicine, the right side of the brain and the left side of the body is the feminine energy pathway. And this is also, the feminine energy pathway is all to do with relationships, nurturing, creativity. In fact, it's all completely Venusian. So anybody that's chosen this pile, the first thing that I do really feel is actually your focus. Venus really wants you to know that right now, your focus really is the best way you can channel the energy of Venus is through relationships and relating. Like it feels like no matter where you're at to do with money or anything else to do with that, or your own self-value, where you're going to gain the most Venusian leverage, so things to do with your happiness, to do with your what makes your heart sing, what makes you feel beautiful, what makes your life feel beautiful, is definitely by investing in relationships right now. But it also, I do really feel like you've got to look beyond where you usually look to do with relationships. So I'm going to do this two different ways because some of you might already be in a relationship and some of you might not be in a relationship. So we're going to do it for all of these different aspects. So let's go. First of all, for those of you that aren't in a relationship, I absolutely feel like Venus wants you to know you need to go for somebody that you wouldn't usually go for before. Because with the Two of Wands, I'm really feeling like this is going into a new direction. It's not totally unknown, which is the Three of Wands. So I feel like the person that you're looking for, they have half of what it is you know you want, and they have half of what it is that you don't know that you want this. But if you were to open up to this person, you would love this other mysterious half that you would never have considered was something you were looking for in somebody. And I think this is really important. I think Venus really wants you to know that you need to go beyond what you think you want. However, while still also respecting what it is that you do want, if that makes sense. So it's not like you've got to go for somebody completely left field to who you're usually attracted to, but it's very much about being open to half of it being obviously what you want, and the other half being things that you would never have realised that you wanted or that you needed. But once you're in that connection, you realise how much you love this other half of this person that is full of characteristics and personality traits and lifestyle things that you would never have really have considered as being anything of importance to you. So that's the first message for that. And again, with the Hermit card, I do think you've got to follow your own intuition and your own guidance, because I typically see this as your North Star. So for me, this is like your ninth chakra. Your ninth chakra is a gold star above your head. It holds all of your highest potential. So Venus here is really saying that this person that's going to be half of what you're looking for and half of what you would never have imagined, they really are your highest potential. And if you've got to trust your intuition on this one. Your intuition is going to tell you and help guide you. And I think as well, Venus is coming through and saying don't dismiss people quickly. Do not dismiss people quickly, because this person has got many things that are hidden and not obvious to begin with. And these things that are not obvious and are more hidden are things that you are absolutely going to love if you give, you need to invest enough time in this person so that they can demonstrate these qualities to you. So that's what we're hearing to do with love if you're not in a relationship. If you are in a relationship, this very much feels like trying new things with this person. Venus is very much saying like explore kind of other worlds and other domains with this person. So just a whole load of different things, like in every which way, from like try, because I also think Venus, although she's not exactly a sexual energy in the same way that Mars is, she's still very sensual. So it's the sensual part of sex, if that makes sense. So again, it feels like explore more sensual activities when it comes to sex, and maybe doing it in more kind of like beautiful setups and beautiful surroundings. So maybe take time to make things very romantic. I'm hearing like lots of loving romantic gestures would be great, and maybe like really playing into like the 5 different love languages. They're like gifts, physical touch, quality time, words of affirmation, and acts of service. Venus is saying go for the full house, the full flush, the royal flush. Try for just a short period of time, just treating your partner to all of these different love languages. Because I'm hearing that not only are they going to love it, but you're also going to love it. because Venus is saying that this is something that isn't often talked about to do with her energy. She isn't just about receiving, she is about giving, because she just loves it when the environment, so the energy of field around her and the environment that she's in is just full of, let's say, love and luxury and pleasure and beauty. And that isn't just about her receiving, it's also about her giving and the person that she's giving to loving it. So it's like this beautiful two-way energy is this thing that I'm hearing with Venus here. Again, this all feels really good. It feels really relaxing and enjoyable. Anyway, now let's go on to the money side. So the first thing we have here is Temperance. And then we also have, oh wow, Seven of Swords. Okay, so is this risk or is this deceit? Risk or deceit? I need to just pull another card for this because we need to clarify. Which cards are we going to go for? Yeah, I'm going to stick with the pink. I think it's nice. So we just need to clarify. In fact, we'll clarify both of these two cards. I'm hearing we don't read anything in reversed. So let's have a look. So, whoa! So with the Temperance energy, we also have Eight of Wands. So this is super fast moving energy. So one thing that I'm hearing, if any of you are in a certain amount of debt, or there's a certain amount of money that you need to raise for whatever it is that you want to buy or have in your savings or whatever, I'm hearing that whatever it is that you're wanting in terms of to balance things in a position that is one that is advantageous to you, so whether you're clearing off debt, whether you're saving more money, whether you're reaching a target of money for something, I'm hearing that this is going to happen very quick and very suddenly with these two things. But it also feels like, I don't know what's going on here in self-value, but that's got something very much to do with this, so I'll check that out as soon as we get to that point. I do feel though you just need to be, there's something a little bit slippery going on with money though for you guys that Venus wants you to be aware of, because for some reason, and I've never been pulled to this before, but you see on this Temperance card here where there's also a foot underwater, I'm just hearing be careful that you don't slip. And I think again there's something, because there's something going on very quick and very sudden to do with your finances. It's either, it can be working many different ways, so let me describe them. It's either you need to make a sudden payment to do with something, you need to do a sudden investment to do with something, you need to make a sudden decision to do with your money, or you need to make a sudden decision to do with a job opportunity, a client opportunity, anything at all like that. It feels like it's going to happen pretty quickly, so you have to be careful that you don't slip. And I'm hearing that you just need to check all the fine print of everything that you're doing. So if there's a decision that you need to make quickly that's to do with money, just slow it down a little bit with the Temperance card and the Patience card, and just check everything. And I'm also hearing this thing that my friend once told me. So show me the receipts. And I mean that metaphorically, like show me the receipts before you make a big commitment one way or the other to do with something to do with money or your income or whatever it is, or even investment of a lot of your time. Just be shown all the receipts, know exactly what it is that you're committing into, and don't feel like you have to rush. That's the first thing, because with these three cards here, I really feel that you just need to be careful, because there's something that is a little bit being concealed from you in some way. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just important that you just take the time to fully understand exactly what that is before you make further commitments. And as well, you know, Venus is ruled by Taurus. Taurus will not be rushed into anything. It will not be rushed into a single thing. And I think this is something, this again goes probably into what I was going to go on with here with the self-value. If you know your value is high to do with anything, there is no frigging rush. You make the call, you make the shots, you decide what happens to your time, your money. See yourself as an asset is what I'm hearing as well. And whether you have your own business or not, technically you are your own business, because you do work, you do something, you put out something, you have some energy going somewhere, which as a result brings money into you some way or another. Even if that's through a partner, there's 1,000 different ways that this can work. But the point is, you are your own business, And I think that really schools should teach us that categorically, whether we work for somebody or not, we are still our own business, because you hold a certain value, a value that you see yourself as being worth, and then energetically this ends up getting translated into the frequency of how money comes to you and how much, how little, all of this kind of thing. However, one caveat just to put out there very quickly, everybody has different lessons and things going off. So it is also possible for somebody to have low self-worth and low self-respect, but they still have a lot of money or assets because they're not necessarily working with that lesson through that medium of money. There's many different ways things that can happen. Anyway, okay. So this was the card that we had to clarify Seven of Swords. Okay, so Seven of Swords and the Three of Swords. Three of Swords is unmet expectations, and we're looking at to do with money. Again, this just feels like this message that I had coming through, which is just make sure you know exactly what you're committing into money-wise and time-wise to do with creating money in your life. I think there's just something there in the fine print that you might be slightly overlooking in one way or another, and I think you need to be careful that you're not going to be taken advantage of in some ways to do with money in this area. So also interestingly, when I see this is the feminine energy part of you, the relationship part, this is the masculine energy part of you, like the money part, I would say your feminine energy is really well balanced currently to do with all Venetian themes. Where a little bit more work needs to go is to do with the money aspect of your life, the masculine energy part of your life, to do with money. So we'll look into that in a minute, but let's just see what's going on here. Okay, so this is your self-value, and here we go, we have Nine of Swords, and we have the Sun. Okay, cool. So this isn't all terrible. You know when you see the Nine of Swords, you're like, oh no, that's not ideal. But actually, all I just see here, and this would then make sense for what we're saying here, and I had this strong feeling whatever was going on for the money here was related into this, your self-value. It's really interesting. I feel like you guys are, like you say, people that the relationship area, whether you've got a relationship or not, you understand how to do relating, and that right now is doing what it needs to be doing. So whether you're in a relationship or not, it just feels like that's exactly the way that it should be. Where it feels like Venus is saying there is a focus, and how funny actually, when I look at this now, this bird here and the ship, look at them, they're all facing and pointing in the direction of here. The masculine energy, the money part of your life to do with Venus. This is the area of life that needs to be worked on. And when I see the Nine of Swords here and the Sun, what I can see Venus is trying to say is, look, you've got some false expectations that you think are true to do with, now it's to do with, like, let me just get this exactly right. I think for many of you, you've had an experience in your childhood, and I'm saying that with the Sun card here and the innocence, where your innocence was taken away quickly to do with your sense of value, to do with how valuable you were. And it could even just be something as simple as, you know, your primary caregivers told you off to do with something about something around you shouldn't want something more than what you've got, don't leave food on your plate, people are starving, like it could be anything like that. And for some reason your inner child understandably took it completely to heart, and for some reason it made you almost feel, I feel like it's a sense of guilt, a guilt that you shouldn't have too much more than anybody else. So I feel like on some level your money barometer is set up in a way so that you only allow yourself to get so much or receive so much or be surrounded by so much before a fear comes in around guilt to do with you having more than another. And this can play out in 1,001 different ways. For some of you as well, this will also be to do with a past life kind of scenario where I mean, the quickly this is coming to my mind, so I'm going to share it with you. I've got a past life to do with my brother where basically I managed to escape a situation. We both tried to escape a situation. We worked together. I got free, he didn't. I forever felt guilty about the fact that I got free and he didn't. And so I would sometimes set myself up in this lifetime so I'd only allow myself so much success. And if my brother wasn't in alignment with that success with me, I then would feel guilty and in some way would try and help him, which would then reduce my success. it's these dynamics can be incredibly complicated, and we can also see how that's played out in our childhood too. So I only give you that example as like a place for you to start open up your conscious awareness to do with where things are at. Also know on an energetic level, when somebody is going to share something with you to do with that theme, it's almost like a chakra point within me opens up with my truth and authenticity coming out to do with this energy. Then already subconsciously, energetically, your being starts to resonate with that. And if there's something within your being that's relative to that in some way, it will start to open up. And slowly over time, or for some people instantaneously, you'll also get the insight about how this is relative to you. Again, that just came out like blah, so I just think that's something that you just need to be mindful of. I'm just going to put this light on again, so yeah, so I think that's just something for you to kind of be aware of and mindful of. But I also do want to tell you this as well, this thing around value, wherever it is that you put your value, because it feels very much like a hierarchical thing, like you only think that your value is at a certain level no matter where it is, because of a restriction from a different experience somewhere else in this lifetime or a past lifetime. And it's definitely to do with guilt is what I can feel. And again, this is great. I do love the fact that you've got the sun here after the Nine of Swords, because it tells me that you're going to get the awareness that you need to enlighten yourself to do with this situation, and therefore remove the guilt and be able to move forward. And that in turn will also increase your income. And actually what I'm now hearing as well with the Temperance is you're going to be balancing up that karmic charge around guilt to do with earning more, having more than somebody else. Almost like you shouldn't shine too much is also what I'm kind of hearing. Don't shine too brightly, because if you shine too brightly, something bad will happen. That's the other thing that I'm hearing for some of you. Some of you have an unconscious fear that's locked your value in at a certain level, because you kind of feel like if you shine too brightly, I don't know, maybe other people will pick on you, maybe you'll be isolated, maybe people will try and steal from you, maybe, I don't know, everybody's got a different thing around this, but like I say, feel into what is right for you, because it's an intermix of guilt around having more than others, and also that something bad will happen if you shine too brightly. But I do really feel like all of that is going to be resolved. And also, you know, when you've got these frequencies of either guilt or like shame, or, you know, that you shouldn't shine too brightly or anything like that, energetically, you start leaving yourself open for people to take advantage of you in some way. Because those vibrations of guilt and shame, they're really quite low frequencies. And once you start investing, even if it's unconsciously, in on that energy, you are going to almost like open up little holes in your aura to do with that lower frequency, which allows other lower frequencies to start to engage with you. And also, and this can be super annoying, you might also not spot when somebody is around you or a situation is around you that might be trying to take advantage of you financially in some way, either of your time, money or assets, because you have a blind spot to that, because a part of you unconsciously believes that you should be punished. Is too much of a hard word, but it's okay for you to be taken advantage of in this way, because it will somehow unconsciously appease your guilt or actually make you feel safe, like you're not shining too brightly. So feel into this, because it is different for absolutely everybody. And again, with this card here, the one thing I do also want to say as well, you don't have to work too hard to resolve this. I really feel like Venus is saying, like, look, if you just open, if you just soft, if you just almost let it be a full body experience, a visceral experience, where you're really kind of viscerally taking in this information and letting it sink in, a lot of this sort of stuff will naturally start to resolve itself. You just have to be open to it, because the thing with this card from the beginning, it said don't work too hard. And also, Venus isn't a hard-working energy as a planet. I mean, Mars might be, but Venus is not. Venus is just very soft and very open and very flowing and very allowing. So she does the work through softening, if that makes sense, and being open and being receptive. And that's very much the kind of space that I feel like you guys need to be in just to resolve this here. But I just want to pull a few more cards. Which ones do I want? Okay, I love these cards. Okay, let's pull a few oracle. And also, I had something else coming into my head and now it's just gone. Damn it. What was that coming into my head? Oh yeah, Venus also just wants you to know that wherever you're also at with relationship, like you do have a really good frequency setting to do with relationship. So also for some of you, if this is also relationship is an area of your life that you think is particularly stuck, what I've just said about the guilt and also about shining too brightly, it will also be therefore relevant to the relationship part of your life, because that is a key theme that's playing out. So it's either playing out in your money area or your relationship area. Literally for most people, I feel like at the time of you getting this reading, it's the money area, but obviously there's always going to be a few exceptions, so just be mindful of that too. And then let's just go with one of these, I think. Okay, actually, sorry, you know I just love cards because it's just like pieces of art. I love it. Right, let's see. So let's just push these up here a little bit. Yeah, so also that was what was coming in about which chakra is a little bit blocked, but I'll go into that in a minute. So, here we go. What did I say? You don't need to work too hard. This card says do nothing. This is what I'm trying to say about this energy here. It's, Venus does not have to do a whole load of action like Mars does to achieve things. Venus just has to open up and receive the right energy and then reciprocate. Because Venus, you don't want Venus to go into a selfish space where all it is like receiving. Like, not only does Venus receive, but she reciprocates, because that's how she builds up the energy and makes it a beautiful environment and etc, etc. But you don't have to do loads to resolve any of this. You really, really don't. And then we've got the fox here. And the fox says shadow work. There are no shadows without light. And I wonder also, I think this is just the thing where Venus actually does hold this energy really strongly, which is Venus as a frequency is incredibly accepting of itself. So I'm talking about Venus now as if it's like the personification of a person, and just go with that because it makes it easier to describe this energy to you. But if Venus was a person, Venus is the sort of person that is incredibly accepting of both her dark and her light self. So in many ways she's kind of very whole and very integrated. But the beauty of Venus as well is she doesn't think she has to be perfect at all. She just feels better when she feels whole, but it's not about changing anything other than just allowing herself to be a mixture of everything, good, bad, ugly, beautiful. And I feel like that's a big message coming through, because it's not about being perfect. And Venus, of all the planets, I think she really epitomizes that energy, because also Venus understands that perfect, lighting depends on perfection, or how perfect something is. And also lighting highlights different things that become more beautiful in the lighting depending. And you could think about this very much like of somebody having the photo taken, and how different lighting really can like play out and bring out different features. Different sorts of lighting can make everything look quite different. So Venus understands it's not about being perfect, because perfect doesn't exist, because perfect is all about the perspective of the light. And then if you want to take the light to be the perspective of the person looking through the lenses of their eyes at life. And I think this is also something that Venus wants you to know, that it's all about looking through life. And again, it will be like this beautiful, innocent, childlike thing. Children aren't looking at what is perfect and what is not perfect. Children are just like taking it all in and just loving all of it for what it is. And that is very much the energy that Venus has still managed to retain. And I'm also hearing that this is one of the things that makes the Venusian energy so youthful and extends its beauty into older years, because it can retain that innocence and that beauty, and it doesn't get crushed down by life. Some people, it starts to show on their face life, because because in some way, energetically, they are in resistance to the difficult times that they have had. All humans have difficult times, but it's about being able to work with those difficult times in such a way that it doesn't tarnish you. but it just adds to you. So for example, this would be like, I'm trying to think, you know, like say like food, you might leave it out of the fridge and after so long it will go mouldy. Whereas let's say wine, red wine in particular, the longer that you have it, the more that the flavours come out. And Venus wants you to kind of work and understand this sort of concept. And again, it's like that pearl kind of in the oyster thing. Beauty can come out of difficult situations, but it's all about the perspective that you put on it. And again, I'm hearing that this is just so, so important. And it's not about trying to make everything seem great and perfect and it was amazing. It's just more like being relaxed with it and accepting both the shadow and the light and not being too reactive to either or. So neither of it takes too much of your life force energy. And the more of your life force energy you allow to give away, also on a very technical level, the more of your youth you are giving away, the more of your literal beauty light you are giving away, is what I'm hearing, is Venus's perspective on all of this. So yep, and then let's see, what do we have here? Oh, so interesting. So with this resistance card, again, I just feel like this is something, and it's number 14, which relates to a 5 in numerology. So 5 is change also. But I do also feel like this does go with the shadow work that we're just talking about, that Venus just really wants you to understand that, or how would I put it? Venus says in order for you to extend your beauty, because also Venus is very much into that, and also how to extend the harmony in your life and how to enjoy more pleasures in your life, it's really important to not have resistance to the difficult times in life, both in your own memories of the past and in any present day-to-day things that happen. I'm just hearing that this is something that's really, really important. But Venus is also saying this isn't something that you just need to do overnight. Venus is saying, look, this is a concept, it's a perception that she's trying to give you through this reading. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to do anything. Just be present with what's being said. And over time, that awareness is actually going to extend itself into conscious understanding, which then becomes fully integrated, which then means it's going to become a part of your life. So on that note, this also means that Venus is saying, look, your future looks like it's going to be so much softer. It's going to have so little resistance. And a big part of that is because you're getting rid of the idea of perfection, you're getting rid of guilt, and you're feeling comfortable and that it is safe to like shine and be bright. But it's also, I do really think this fox thing is important with this resistance. It's like I say, it's dropping your resistance to difficult times, so that it's almost like that pain doesn't get held in the body and it doesn't start to go into your biological cells and start to make them feel tired and drained of energy, which then on an energetic level leads to aging, let's say. And then this final one here, a merry motive, 20. Oh, I really like that. So with a merry motive, and this very much feels like, so I was just looking at the picture there, this very much feels like an intention. I think Venus wants you to know that you in particular, everybody that's chosen this pile, you have a very, very strong, powerful mind. And I think we can see this from here. The 9 of Swords, if we forget about the picture, there's 9 swords. Swords are all to do with thoughts. That is a huge amount of energy in the thoughts to have 9, let's say. It's almost at its maximum capacity, which is say 10 swords. So I know here that you guys in this reading, you have a lot of mental energy, and actually a lot of how you perceive reality and work with reality is through the mental plane, which then would also explain why things can sometimes be really fast for you, because the mental plane is a quick plane. In fact, actually, this reading is pretty much full of wands, which are fast, and swords, which is fast. So Venus just wants you to know, this is probably, this won't be the case for all of you, but there's probably a lot of you that actually have Venus in fire or air signs because of that. And this is something about the way that your mind, just the way that Venus works with you. And again, I would say some of you will have that with Mercury as well, either in a fire or a fire or an air sign. But anyway, either which way, Venus just wants to know your thoughts are particularly powerful. And although thoughts create everybody's reality, yours are just that little bit more potent. So you just need to be that little bit more consciously aware of what you are doing. And Venus is also just saying, look, for somebody like yourselves, the best way that you can work with this is you do need that little bit of meditative downtime. And it doesn't have to be traditionally sitting with your legs crossed, shutting your eyes, looking at a candle, whatever. It's just anything that just slows down your conscious thought process. And I mentioned this in another video. Look, this could even be video games. I know, again, talking about my brother, he has a really, really, really fast intellectual mind, like super intelligent. His thoughts is so powerful, and he has lots of energy in Aquarius. And you know, one of the ways that he truly can relax is a video games. Now, it's not to make it go into a place of codependency, but look, let's take away all judgments here, because obviously I think that was something that came out, I can't remember where it was, about full acceptance somewhere, like dropping judgments and things, because we're all a mixture of light and dark. In the same way, video games can be helpful or they can be a hindrance. If you know how to use them in a way that's helpful, do that for sure. And that's just one example. And me saying that makes me think that quite a lot of you probably have a great way to slow down your mind, that actually societal norms might say that's unhealthy, but you need to trust yourself. Like, you don't have to follow society. Like, you know, having your own sense of value means you know what is valuable for you, and you engage in what is valuable for you. And really, that will be the final message that I feel Venus wants to tell you guys. So I hope you enjoyed that reading. For some reason, I just want to show you this card again, because I just think it's really beautiful and it's got a lovely energy. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that reading. Obviously, please check out, depending on when I've got loads of different videos, look at them all. Obviously, we've got Venus retrograde if you're right now, as of the moment I'm recording this video, although this video is timeless, so maybe check out the Venus retrograde, pick a card. And also, if you'd like readings of any kind, I do every which way sort of a psychic reading, because yeah, I just have that full scope. Then please just message me and I will read for you. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this reading, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye. So hi guys, this is for everybody that chose message number 2 for what Venus wants to tell you about 3 main Venetian themes. So I'm splitting up this reading into kind of 3 sections. We're going to do love on this side, we're going to do money on this side, and then we're going to do specifically stuff like self-value, where you're at with value, what you need to know about value. But to begin with, we're using one of these cards. These are not exactly tarot cards, but it really doesn't matter, because I mean, when you're psychic, you can use anything to read. But I just love the pictures on here. And also, because they're in nature, it makes me think of Venus, because Venus is ruled by Taurus, and Taurus loves nature. So let's see what energy is coming straight out for you guys to begin with. Oh, nice. These cards are just so beautiful. So this is New River Gorge National Park. Such gorgeous colours. Okay, so what am I feeling with this? What does Venus want to tell you? Ooh, okay, so there's a number of things that come through when I see this instantly. But so obviously, I feel like Venus wants you to know that you don't have to make a choice of either or. You just need to integrate. That's all that needs to happen. So if really strongly, this part instantly feels like these are people where you might feel split between 2 different pathways, 2 different people, 2 different realities, 2 different jobs, to just you're split in yourself on some direction. And I really just feel like Venus wants you to know, but you can have it all. It can all be integrated. It's just the way that you're viewing it, basically. I'm just going to put this in the middle. I also do really feel like Venus is just like, yeah, it's good for you to spend some time alone, but don't spend too much time alone. Because I'm hearing that you guys have a lot to achieve in this lifetime, actually, and you're going to achieve it through the integration of 2 things that seem to be quite separated at this moment in time, and yet it doesn't need to be that way. So let's see what's going on with all of that. Okay, Okay, so like I said, I'm just going to sort the cards out first of all. So we're going to look at the love part of your life through Venus's lens, and then the money part of your life through Venus's lens. Not reading anything reversed, and then where you're at to do with value. Sorry, I put you in there. I don't know why I did that. Where you're at to do with value. Okay, so let's see. So we have, oh wow. This is almost like one of the wild cards in this deck. It's the one that's almost like it supersedes all of the cards. So it just is like all of the cards all together in one energy. So that is incredibly powerful to do with relationships. I don't actually know what to make of that just yet. Let me just, oh my goodness. And now the Six of Wands. Oh wow. So kind of interesting. This kind of feels slightly like what I was told in message number 1, but it's even more powerful. I just want to clarify with this 2 more cards just to make sure, because really what I'm seeing from Venus here is that the relationship of your life, you're either at a place where you've come to a complete, wait, let me just see this first. So then we have the Three of Pentacles, and then we also have, oh wow, the Lovers. Yeah, okay. So with this here, it really just feels like Venus is just basically saying, look, you have a lot of happiness to do with relationships, and if you're not in that place now, don't worry about it, because as a soul you have the frequency where you will always have lots of great relationships around you. Whether that at this moment in time is translated into love will be different for all of you, but I do really feel like you just need to know that Venus feels that you are highly competent and capable to do with relationships and relating. So whether you're in a relationship right now or not, it just feels like Venus just feels like this is something where you are really good at working as a team. So you understand all the concepts of working as a team. You also understand how to be independent as well as interdependent when it comes into a relationship. And really because of that, you also have a lot of success within relationships. So if you are not somebody that feels this is relevant to you, I think just take a lot of heart, because Venus is saying yes, but you really do. And actually there's something that goes on here with the self-value that will clarify a little bit more about this for us right now. But I think the most important thing to know is that you have the ability to be great in relationships. So if you're in a relationship right now, I think Venus just says, you know, look, just make sure that you carry on working as a team, but make sure you have your autonomy and interdependence. And just know that there's a lot more success to be had in this specific relationship to do with you two creating with life and creating with the universe. So Venus is also saying, look, as a couple, be very aware of intuitively where you think is the next best step for you guys to go as a couple. And also I am hearing that this is potentially a couple that could be making money together. So whether you are supporting each other in your own ways of making money, or you work together to make money. And also if you're not in a relationship right now, I feel like that's the sort of relationship that would work well for you, where you both really are very actively engaged in how each other earns money, either as a couple or individually. It just feels like there's a lot of teamwork that goes on with that. And then I always think about this one as it's like people that are, it's Three of Pentacles, so you're still learning your craft, but also it can be still building a cathedral. And you know, a cathedral takes many different minds, many different hands, and many years to do. It kind of feels like there's a real work in progress, and that things can just keep getting better and better for you to do with this area of your life. But I am hearing that it's important that you need to honour this balance, because I often think the Lovers can just be like a balancing of energy. It feels like it's really important that you are balancing energy in terms of make sure that being independent and interdependent. You don't want codependency. I'm not seeing that anywhere, by the way, but it's just saying like carry on doing that. So you want to make sure that you are always you don't want to dissolve yourself into a relationship. Venus says that's not right for you, not to dissolve yourself into the relationship, but it is to still maintain who you are within your relationship. And you'll know when you're in the right relationship, because that person will help you become quite literally a better version of yourself, as you will of them. So again, if you're in a relationship, that's the kind of areas that you need to be working on and keep working on. If you're not in a relationship, this is the sort of partner that Venus is saying is perfect for you and will bring so much beauty, joy, pleasure and happiness into your life. So that is really great. Now let's see what's going on the money side. So we have the nine of wands, so a bit of resistance or feeling tired to do with something. And the page of wands, but there's still enthusiasm, so that's good. Right, I just want to pull a couple more for these two as well. And I also want to make this brighter because I love these cards looking bright. I've got this thing about chroming everything. I just cannot help it, and I really don't know why I do that, but I just love it. Right. So let's see what's going on here. I'm hearing that we don't read it reverse, so we won't. Oh wow, the death. Okay, so a big transformation of some sort. Oh wow, and the Hierophant. Whoa. Okay. Just give me 1 second here. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so this is where I'm being pulled back into this card here as well when it comes to do with your money. So it does feel like there's some sort of division that's coming through the money side of your life, where it's like you're having to choose either or, because this is where I can feel that there's a certain level of heaviness. Again, so it kind of feels like the relationship area, believe it or not, regardless of where you're at with that, trust the process, you're in a good space with that. Venus is saying, just take those tips, but where to focus right now is on this money area of life. So again, this is the masculine area of life. And it's kind of interesting because message number 1 also had to work on the masculine area over the feminine area of life. So let's just see. One of the things that I was instantly getting with this as well when I saw these two is that you've been working really hard on something. You do feel like giving up, but you're never going to give up. And that's quite clear, because just when you get to the point where you feel like you can't take any more, you feel wiped out, you somehow get this whole like boost of energy from somewhere and you can suddenly keep going again. So it feels like Venus says that you're incredibly good at regenerating yourself to do with enthusiasm or resolving money issues or creating new opportunities, jobs-wise, client-wise, career-wise. Like you're always able to just dig into and just get a little bit more, and you have a great way of almost being able to like regenerate yourself. And just strangely enough, this is what's actually coming through, so I'm just going to say it. Venus is giving the example of sexual energy. So basically where, you know how some people can use sexual energy, so like the act of sex, to kind of regenerate and reboot their chakras in a kind of like sex magic type of way. Interestingly, Venus is saying that you have that natural ability, but to do with how you work with money. Now, I think for some of you, you're going to be like, what? What the frig? How does that make any sense? Because my money does not seem to reflect that. But I think Venus is saying, look, this is where there's a lot for you to like work, because it's kind of like if you can bring your understanding of partnerships and working as a team and being independent but also being interdependent, and somehow you can bring that energy into how you make money, on top of the fact that to do with money, you know how to regenerate yourself, you know how to reboot yourself, you know how to get to a difficult place and somehow be able to burst through and come up with new ideas or newfound energy or new enthusiasm or a new way to invent yourself. So Venus is kind of saying, if you can now bring what you already have to do with the feminine energy part of yourself and relating, and bring this into the masculine area to do with your life with money, you're going to have a whole load of success. And actually this is where as well Venus is saying about bringing two worlds together. It's very much, you've got to make sure, Venus is saying, that when it comes to you guys with money and creating money, it's really important that you are doing this with people that you intuitively know that you can trust, that will support you, and that where it will be reciprocal. Because this is something that came up in the other Venus reading, that Venus was just like, look, the way that I like to work is this. Yes, I don't like to work too hard and I like to receive, but when I receive something that is good, I always want to reciprocate, because one of the ways that I make things and myself and the environment beautiful is I receive things that are healthy for me, but then I also reciprocate that back. So it's kind of like it's a double booting. It's like a breathing in and a breathing out, a breathing in of beauty and a breathing out of sharing of beauty, and that makes the whole environment more beautiful. So Venus is actually trying to say, look, there's very much a big thing for me to do with like reciprocity, not just to do with me receiving that, but the other person who's giving to me, I also need to give back. There needs to be this kind of healthy flow. And it does feel like you guys with this river here, you have the potential to be amazing at that. But then this is where the caveat needs to go on, and it's going to be different for all of you, so you need to feel into this yourself. It's something, somewhere there's a mismatch, right? So even though they've got all this potential to do with relationship and it being amazing, I do think for some of you, maybe you're not activating that properly, or you're committing to the wrong type of person, because you must have flow. There must be flow. And if there isn't flow somewhere, it's going to block up both your love life and your money. Particularly for some reason, it feels like Venus is saying it's very important to you that the relationship area of your life is healthy, because if it's not, it really plays out difficultly in your finances for some reason. Now, she is saying it doesn't necessarily need to be that way, but currently that's the way that things work for you at the moment. And sorry, because there's so many things coming through. There's something else I really want to say. Shit, where did that just go? Because there's so many things that are coming in. So you just need to make sure that things are flowing correctly. That's really, really important. And it does really feel that the thing is, when money isn't working so well, or it becomes a bit difficult and challenging, it's because I think you are innocently or naively making money in a way that isn't really, and I don't know why, this is ruled by Taurus, that doesn't have a long-term stability to do with it. Because you know the Page of Wands is youthful and lots of energy, but quite inexperienced. And I suppose with that inexperience and that youth, it can be very trusting of certain things. And I do think that sometimes you can be taken advantage of to do with this money aspect. But I feel like deeper than that, it goes into you must honour this bit, which is whether this is your romantic partner or it's just relationships to do with like who you work for or whatever it might be, or your even relationship to the energy of your job. You have to make sure that it feels good, that it's a teamwork, that you feel your autonomy in your job, in your career path, in whatever, and you want to set up, you want to give and you want to receive, and you want it to be reciprocal, and that also it does feel beautiful and harmonious. That's really, really important. So again, I think one of the big things that's coming out here to do with the money is make sure you are committing to making money in an area of life that you do want to commit to, that you do want to have long-term commitments with, or a boss that you do feel that you do want to commit to, you can trust, that you can build with them long time. This is what Venus is saying you need to do now. You need to be on that pathway, that career money path, where you want to be there and you know that you are being valued and you're not being taken advantage of by whoever it is that you're working for, or the industry that you're working for, or anything at all like that. I'm hearing that is really, really important. And again, this is why it's telling me a bit more about this bridge. It's that it's just really important for you guys, and particularly with your Venus energy and how Venus works for you guys, that you're happy at home, happy in work, happy in home. There's something that's kind of, you guys aren't the people that can put stuff in a box. So if stuff's not working well at work, you can go home and you can not take it with you. That's not you. If things aren't going so well at work with your money, it can start to bleed into also the home life or the relating life. And the same thing, if the relationship's going difficult, or there's difficult things going on with people that you love, family, friends, whatever, you can sometimes bring that into work. And that's not a bad thing at all, because it also means when one area is good, it really helps the other area be good. But it does mean that there's this constant, there's this constant, I don't know what the word is, but there's this constant, 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 there's this intercommunication between all the Venusian areas of your life, that particularly being money and love, and you need to be very mindful of that. Now I just want to go into, let's get some more energy here for yourself, for the value part of you. So we have Three of Cups, and we also have Ten of Swords. Okay, so I instantly know what this is. So what Venus is actually saying to you, and it kind of reiterates a little bit what was being said here. Venus is basically saying, look, with the Three of Cups, where your self-value is, you're really good in the short term, in the immediate, what did I say? Okay, I just need to say it how it is. Venus is saying, look, be less superficial about the long-term commitments. This is really, really important. And she quickly wants to say, stop, wait a minute, this isn't like in a bad way, in a telling off way. It's more just a case of, I suppose the other way she could say it is, look, what you need to focus on now is long-term commitments. Long-term commitments that beautify your life all over. So you need to make sure you're making the commitments to the right people in the relationships. You need to make sure that you're making the commitments to the right jobs. You need to make sure you're making the commitments to the right industry even. Or however it is that, you know, money comes to you, because it can be many different ways. But it's just really, really important. I just feel like with the sun now literally flooding your reading, Venus is like, pay attention, this is so important. You know, the way for you to have more beauty and pleasure in your life now is that you must value long-term over short-term. You know, with the Three of Cups, it's like a moment of pleasure, a moment of happiness, but with the Ten of Swords, it's like then a sudden ending. Venus is saying, like, it's time to let go now of those short-term commitments. If you really want a more beautiful, abundant, loving life, it's all about you being very clear about your long-term commitments. This is where you're going to find so much happiness. And those long-term commitments, they need to be balanced both sides, is what I'm hearing. That's really, really important. So you're making good long-term commitment choices to do with the relationship areas of your life, and you're making good long-term commitments to do with the money areas of your life. But now let us just get a few more cards. So let's see. And also I suppose this thing about long-term commitments, because obviously Venus, Taurus rules Venus. And Taurus is very, very much about long-term sustainability. And the Hierophant is also ruled by Taurus. So I do really feel that Venus is trying to come in here with quite an energy to you guys of look, you know, it's no more, it just really is about creating these long-term commitments. That's what's going to give you the pleasure and joy in your life going forward. Now, 1 second. And I also just feel as well, it feels like, how would I say it? I just want one more, because I love all these cards, they're so beautiful. So we have 48, Surrender. I love that, I do. And also that really looks like a massive opening of the heart chakra and the crown chakra. Massive, massive, massive. And then we have here, number 6, Teacher. And you know, I do also feel like there's this thing about this, the energy that comes through with this is, you guys, no matter what age you are, Venus feels like currently you're in a more inexperienced space to do with her frequency and her energy. So actually, even if you are really mature, and let's say even if you are really successful in the love and the money part of your life, Venus is even saying yes, but relative to where your soul can get in this lifetime, you've got so much further to go. So technically, on your unique pathway, you're still really in the very beginning stages of how much you can work with her energy. And equally, you might also be another soul who's just very inexperienced in both the love area and the money area, and she's saying, oh yeah, no, but you've got a lot further to go. Because it does really feel like you do, with this, you need to be surrendering to guidance from somebody that's more mature. or that has more experience in these areas, not mature, but has more experience in these areas. And I'm hearing as well very strongly, do not go for a guru, because the Page of Wands could, because they're innocent and more naive and inexperienced, they could unwittingly take advice from a guru. And when I say a guru, I mean somebody that spouts out a whole load of stuff, but if you looked at their life is, let's say, a shit show, for want of a better word. It's really, really important that you surrender to the wise teacher, but you also need to be quite smart about how you make that decision of who to follow. And then actually I am hearing with that, it's quite simple. Your heart chakra and your crown chakra will tell you. So that means your heart and your mind will sense that this is a person for you to trust, or this is the person at the next moment in your journey that you can listen to. And then we have here Flamingo, Unity Heart. You're being called to work on collective healing. I'll go into that one in a minute. And then here we have number 44, what a lovely number, and Divine Matrix. So I do also feel like Venus is saying here, I think you have the ability at this moment in time to really kind of propel your journey to do with love and money rapidly forward. And I do really feel like there's like a big jump about you going from short-term commitments in these areas of your life to proper long-term commitments in these areas of your life. And it's almost like you deciding to go for the long-term commitments is like you walking through almost like this Stargate, and it's going to totally change things forever for you. And bear in mind, for some of you, you might already be in the correct relationship or the correct industry, but maybe it's just a part of you isn't fully invested, even if that's just energetically, that there's like a small little part of yourself that you're holding back. And you see, with this surrender card here, this person is fully committed and fully surrendered. I mean, look how open that person's entire body and energy field is. It couldn't be more open and exposed. Every single one of those front chakras is open, but also all of the back chakras are supporting her. And I think there's this message as well about, in order for you to like fully expand, you must also have the correct foundation that allows you to fully expand. I'm hearing that this is really, really important. And again, if you choose the right mentors right now, not the gurus, but the right mentors, that's really, really going to help you. Now, you know, with this Unity Heart, you being called to work on collective healing, that to me just feels a bit more like, I just feel with this, it's just saying that it's don't be doing things alone. And you know what, Venus sort of mentioned this in another message, and I do think the thing with Venus is she is very much Mars could be like a lone wolf. Venus is absolutely not a lone wolf. Venus always wants to be with the pack. You know, Venus feels like so much is gained, because Venus actually gets her energy almost from others, and as she gets her energy from others, if it's a healthy Venus, that Venus energy is then, like I say, reciprocated back. It's shared back. And I think there's something about that that's also really important. So if any of you get into dynamics either with love or with money where that doesn't really go on, whether you might also be holding back a little bit, so you might receive from somebody but then not feel safe to fully give back, or the person that you're with might receive from you but then not really be able to fully give back. I think just be open to maybe working on this dynamic a little bit and the healing aspects that are available. Also know as well, this is really quite important, that kind of dynamic for you guys as well, to do with your job, your money, your industry. And I do really feel this is a case of, if there's an area of your money, job, business, industry, whatever, that isn't really giving back to you, even though you think you're giving, I would just double check in and just see, are you fully open? Are you fully committed in? And then also just check, is this definitely the right long-term setup and situation for you? Because Venus is definitely calling and saying, look, now is the time for you to fully commit in both areas of your life, both money and both love. It's no longer about short-term commitments, it's about the long-term commitments. And in getting the long-term commitments right, you'll see that they both feed into each other and they almost create like this, look, a bridge. both the love and the money aspects coming together, and it's almost going to create almost like a wormhole, like it's going to shoot you forward fast in both areas of your life as a result of both the money and the love feeding you together at the same time. So I'm just going to give you this picture as the last little bit to look at, just because I absolutely love it. I hope you enjoyed that reading. Obviously this is a timeless reading, but if you're getting this reading, or you're looking at this reading at the time it's been released, it's also very close to Venus retrograde, so you might want to look at the Venus retrograde, pick a card. And obviously if you'd like a reading of any sorts from me, I can do the entire psychic spectrum, then just go to my website and it would be my pleasure to read for you personally. But other than that, hope you enjoyed this and speak to you soon. Bye! So hi guys, this is for everybody that chose message number 3 for what Venus wants to tell you. So I'm going to split this up into basically 3 themes of Venus. We're going to do the love area of your life, the money area of your life, and then the value area of your life. But I'm going to start off with one of these as we're going to channel the beginning message. I love these cards, they're so beautiful. They're not actually tarot cards, but to be fair, it just doesn't matter, because I mean psychic is psychic. You can use clouds to read for somebody, or leaves, it really doesn't matter. So because the message is everywhere. So let's see what you get. Oh, beautiful. Ooh, I love that. Okay, so the instant thing as well, I just can't help but get with this is, it's, Venus is really saying, look, it's your higher heart chakra that needs to open up. So that is, between your heart chakra and your throat chakra, near your thymus gland, is your higher heart chakra. And it just really feels like that's a point that's really starting to open for you. So that also tells me, and as well with the stag here, Venus is saying that you're at a very important, pivotal part of your life right now. And it's definitely to do with, it's interesting, it's not that Venus works with the energy of responsibility, because she really doesn't, but it does feel like it's almost like being responsible for your own pleasures. And being responsible for seeing beauty in your own life on some kind of level. But let's just go into this in more detail anyway. And I do also feel like there's some magic around you currently. So like something could very quickly happen for you that is very beautiful. It's almost like there's going to be like and this is metaphorically, you know, like sometimes when you look across the sea and maybe there's clouds, and then all of a sudden you see a burst of sunlight rays come out far in the distance, and they kind of make all the distant part of the sea glitter, and then it doesn't last long before then the clouds come over the sun again and it disappears. It feels like there's like moments of magic around you coming, but you have to be open to it to be able to see it, and therefore to be able to work on those opportunities. So it also feels like Venus is saying, look, you need to be able to be very in tune with your environment. Be very in tune with your environment is what I'm hearing. But anyway, let's go straight in. And then obviously, oh, I love the sun's actually coming out for your reading. I love this. It just feels amazing. Anyway, so this is the love area. I'm hearing we don't read anything reversed. And this is the money area of your life. We're not reading anything reversed. And then this is the value area of your life. I'm not reading any of that reversed. And obviously where you energetically sit to do with your value is going to have an imprint on both your love life and your money life. But let's go into love first. So we have, oh wow, so we start off with the Emperor. Oh wow, okay, so and that's very like, that's for Venus, there is nothing more sexually attractive than the Emperor as an energetic frequency. So let's just see else. Oh wow, no friggin' way. And then we get the Empress. I told you like I could feel like this sexual energy charge. Oh wow. Okay, so Venus wants you to know, whoever chose this pile to do with relationships, wherever you're at, if you're in a relationship or not in a relationship, the right relationship for you is, it's that power couple energy. But it's more, forget the power, it's more about, it's two people coming together that are both fully aligned with their purpose, and they're fully actualized, not in terms of their life is perfect, but they're in positions where no matter what life throws at them, they're able to handle it, and they handle it with dignity, is what I'm hearing. So it's two very powerful energies basically coming together who are each other's equals. But that's not to say this isn't about any sort of like when I say equal, I just mean they both stand. Let's just say they've got a similar level of understanding of life. They have a similar level of understanding of their own healing journey, their own karma, their own purpose. This is what I mean by equal, if that kind of makes sense. But that is incredibly, incredibly powerful. I'm just a bit taken aback that those two have come out of that, because you saw me shuffle them. But anyway, let me just... Why is that stunning me so much? Something about... Okay, so this is really stunning me, and it also is therefore, it's also making me think, I think some of you might be surprised as to who your, in brackets, equal is, because it might not be who you were thinking on some level, because society has all this weird shit going around, to be quite honest, about like... what is an equal, who is an equal. Like Venus is like, please don't talk to me about human consciousness, because I'm not coming from a level of human consciousness. I'm coming from planet consciousness, which sees stuff from a far bigger sphere. And from that bigger sphere, Venus is just like, look, equality is not necessarily about you both earn the same amount of money, or you both have the same amount of energy or the same amount of power. It's not about that. It's just about two individuals that are both, let's say, exactly where they need to be in life and have full access to all of the different tools available so that they can navigate life. It's not about navigating life perfectly, but it is about being able to work with life almost in like a in tune and harmonious way. And essentially as well, Venus is saying as well, the thing about the equal couple is the fact that they come together and they balance each other. Neither one nor the other throws the other one off. This is what she also means by equal couple. So essentially they harmonise each other well. So again, that can't necessarily happen if they are both. It's not about mirror images. That's what she's trying to say. This is not about mirror images. This is about couples that balance and harmonise each other. Because just everything, when you look at all of the different ways, physical, mental, energetic, every which way, it doesn't matter who has what or who is where. The point is when they come together, it all makes a whole. And that's primarily also because both individual in their own life has that kind of sphere going on around them, if that makes sense. Then they just come together and then they join spheres. But don't think about it as the traditional way about, okay, so we both earn the same amount of money, or we both have got to the same part in our healing journey, or that. It's not as static as that. It's way more dynamic is what Venus is saying. And I feel like that alone is a big part of the message that needed to come through for whoever this is relevant to do with relationships, or maybe what you're looking for if you're not in a relationship. As Venus is saying, some of you will be getting blocked by the concept of you looking for your equal. That's the other thing that I'm hearing here, because some of you are allowing human perception and human consciousness to taint what it really means to be, and again, in brackets, with your equal. It's not what humanity is making it out to be. You've got to look a lot deeper. You've got to feel a lot deeper, because it is not that obvious and black and white. So that feels like a big message for anybody that is not in a relationship right now. And those of you that are in the relationship, I think number one, it's important to feel that there is this sort of synergy going off. I think that's really, really important. And also for those of you that are in a happy relationship and you're feeling good, I think this is just like a great sign from Venus to say, look, you are a really magnetic couple together, and there is so much that you can create together as a result. And it also just tells me that the sexual energy is really high in the relationship. So I think Venus is also saying, look, that is something that's really important for the people that have chosen this pile, that there needs to be that sexual energy. And it's not just about it being all about pleasure. It's also about the bonding and the building of the bonding through that energy, through that action, through that you know, that sort of dynamic. I'm hearing that that is also really, really important. So also, if you're in a relationship and things are maybe not going quite so well, Venus is saying that's a way to start to bring it back again. That's a way to start to interconnect again, and re-magnify the electric currents between you, which is important for this type of energy, because it actually becomes very, very balancing and grounding is what I'm hearing. Because actually when these two energies come together, because they're both very definite, actualized energies, one of the ways to keep this energy working well as a couple is to make sure that the sexual energy is also flowing healthily between them. That doesn't mean that there needs to be loads of sex, because it's different for everybody, but it just means that there is, I don't know, there's some sort of magic that occurs on that level. And to go into that, I'd have to read individually for people. But anyway, that's where we're at with that. Oh no, I think my battery's about to go soon. That's so typical. Just give me 1 sec. Shit. Hi there, sorry about that. That was just the battery going. Anyway, cool. So all that energy coming from this. Anyway, here we go. So let's see what's going on with the money. We'll come back to that later if we need. So with the money, we have 6 of Cups. That's interesting. And then we also have, oh wow, 8 of Pentacles. Okay, so... Okay, so one of the instant messages that I'm getting with this, and there is way more than just this, but just an instant one, is this sort of relationship, if this sort of energy isn't handled correctly, actually it can start to drain and take over energy that should also be put into other areas of life, like making money, your job, whatever it might be. So one thing is to just say it's really important to get this balance healthy, otherwise it can become a massive distraction. So that's the first message. But the other thing is, I'm getting this thing where it feels like some of you are in this place to do with money where you can actually start giving back. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if you're now in a position where you could actually start to help others know your craft and know your skill. So it feels like Venus is kind of saying, like, is kind of almost congratulating you that you've come into a certain part on your journey, no matter where that is, where there's actually, you have, and this we're already talking about value, you have created a certain amount of value through what you do, and you're now in a position where other people would love to learn from you because you have something of value from them. So it feels like you can help other people refine their craft in some way, or you can help other people be motivated in some type of way. It's like you can help, people can look up to you basically, and look up to you for advice and guidance. And in some way, that's something that you can make money from now. So that also feels like if you work for somebody, Venus is like saying, look, it's time to go for a more superior role. If you're already a supervisor, go to a manager. If you're already a manager, go to you can move up a grade now to do with your work. If you work for somebody. Now, if you don't work for somebody and your own boss, it kind of feels like you need to also now expand into an area where you're almost offering some form of mentorship it feels like, to do with whatever it is that you're doing, because you've got to that certain sort of level. Now, if for like 5% of you, and it's only a small 5% of you, you're still very early and young in your industry, the message is actually the opposite, which is it's time for you to now look for a mentor to help you further. And also what I'm hearing with this is you might be somebody where you're very skilled at your job, but for some reason you don't make a lot of money, and there's a lot of more money to be made. And again, it's about you getting a proper mentor that can help you get to the next level of receiving more money, of creating more money through your craft. So there's a few different messages there, but they're all within the same frequency, but they're just slightly different depending on where you sit within that frequency. I do feel though that wait, I'm just going to open this now because I don't know what's going on. There's something interesting about your reading. This just feels so very heavy and weighted. I don't mean heavy in a bad way. I mean there's just so much energy there actually. It just feels like it's offsetting the reading a bit, but let's just see anyway. So now we have the Knight of Wands, and then we also have the Page of Swords. Okay, so this is to do with value, where your value is at. Okay, so maybe, you see again, can you see these two people here? Look at the direction that they're looking in. They're looking this way, towards the relationship area of life. And also, if you look at the stag here, look at the direction that the stag's looking in. Again, looking in this area, the relationship area. And you know how I just said, look, I just feel like so much is going off here, it's distracting it from over here. Now, I feel like this is a case of, if you're not in a relationship, I think you're putting so much value on having a relationship that I think, again, it's taking energy from other areas of life, and that's not actually healthy. I also feel like if you are in a relationship, there's two things here, because obviously there's so many different people with different energies, so you have to feel what is right for you. But if you are in a relationship, and let's say it's a healthy relationship, it feels like by working on this as a team, you can actually create more money. And I do really feel like that. You either help each other individually create more money, or you work together to create more money. So you've got some joint venture, or you've got individual ventures that you both help with. That's if you have a healthy relationship here. If you don't have a healthy relationship here, and you've got to be really honest with yourself, then what's going to happen is the opposite. It's going to start taking money away. It's going to start taking energy away from the money area of your life. And I'll tell you one thing that will happen if this is unhealthy. The Knight of Wands is going to happen, and that is your money's going to go up, down, 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 up, down. There's going to be no consistency going off. It's going to be completely inconsistent. So it kind of feels like the reason why everybody is looking this way at the relationship area, Venus is saying, is because this is either where it's healthy, and by working together you create more money. So really you here feeds this here, or if it's unhealthy, you need to focus on this to get it healthy, either by making that relationship healthy, or realizing you're not healthy for each other in some way, because the money can't shift until this is healthy. But actually, when this is healthy, so much can be achieved to do with the money area of life. And again, I get this feeling. The stag here is a mature energy, is super mature, is like an elder. The thing is, the Knight of Wands and the Page of Swords are more youthful and inexperienced. So it kind of feels as well like your value, what you're putting value on in a relationship, if it's not healthy, you're focusing on the wrong things, is what I'm hearing. And it's about focusing in a different way. And also, if you don't have a relationship and you really want a relationship, by focusing too much on a relationship that doesn't exist, you start creating an idealization of the relationship that you want. That idealization makes it even harder to get a relationship, because your expectations of what you are idolizing are not realistic or practical. And again, that is distracting you from other things and other parts of reality. So That's what I can really feel with that kind of energy. But again, remember, you can be two different ways. This can be healthy, amazing. You can create loads of money together. You can build stuff together, and there won't be an inconsistency. There will not be highs and lows, highs and lows, highs and lows. If there is lots of highs and lows, it will be very, very difficult to build consistent money, is what I'm also hearing. And it's about really getting your expectations in alignment with reality, is what I'm really hearing, to do with the love areas of your life. Because again, I suppose the Emperor and the Empress, they can also be the very idealization of quite literally the power couple. So it's something that I think us in society have bring, and you can talk about, I know there's a thing when people talk about modern women and their expectations, and I do think that sometimes the expectations can be completely off what is practical in reality, and that can lead to isolation, loneliness, unhappiness. So I do really think there's something to look into with that. And again, you know how we got the higher heart chakra here? The higher heart chakra, it does just feel like there's, you've got a huge amount of wisdom in your body, and I think you really, really need to trust your intuition. I think deep down inside you really know what you need to do, particularly with the relationship area of your life. But for some reason, I think it almost feels like it's just a step too far right now. And Venus is saying, don't worry. Do not worry. It doesn't even matter. As long as you have that awareness, and if you can soften into that awareness, and if you can keep receiving more of those awarenesses, over time you will open up to it, and everything's going to unfold the way that it is for your highest potential, and you'll love it and you'll be happy. But anyway, let me just choose a few more cards here. Let's see. Oops, so we have 11, rising up. Well, that's a very powerful card there. And then we also have make mistakes. Oh, I actually really love that card, and I love the colour of the card too. I think it's okay to admit to yourself that it's not even about a mistake, it's just about your perceptions change over time. So over time, decisions, if you're still making decisions in the same way that you did, then you might purely be making mistakes, because actually now your consciousness has changed, and it's no longer the same consciousness as the choices that you were making a long time ago. So therefore sometimes certain decisions just need to be reintegrated and to be looked at in a new light, and therefore different actions can be made, if that kind of makes sense. Just one sec. Just want to get 2 more cards. And again, with the rising up and the making mistakes, I do really feel like Venus is just like, look, it's there's a totally new way for you to start observing things, and that new way of observing things is going to help to stabilize a lot of what is going off in your life right now, to do with the love area of your life and the money area of your life. It's going to stabilize it, it's going to calm it down, it's going to give clarity. And Venus is also saying, look, when you don't need to make quick decisions. Nobody needs to force your hand. Nobody needs to push you. You make the decision when you want to make the decision. It's totally up to you. You are 100% in control of the choices and the decisions that you are making, even if sometimes it doesn't feel that way. And if in some situation or person is pressurizing to make a decision, or even if you're pressurizing yourself to make a decision, because sometimes I think you could be quite hard on yourself, and you could have really quite almost like perfectionist ideas of stuff, and that actually makes it very difficult for you to achieve certain things, and it makes it difficult to do the long haul with something, and do the long haul with something that makes you happy, whether it's work, relationship, whatever it might be. Then it says here, exactly, here we go, love and compassion. I love that, along with make mistakes, to be honest with you, because I think Venus wants you to know, look, there really are no mistakes. It's just that you change over time. So decisions that you made in the past, now because you've grown older and wiser, you probably wouldn't make those same decisions again. But it doesn't make those decisions from the past a mistake, because you made those decisions with the highest form of consciousness that you had in the past, and that was perfect. So I think Venus is trying to say, don't judge decisions that you've made in the past, but also know that you don't need to be held stuck by making the same decisions and sticking with the same decisions that you made in the past, if now you feel differently or you have a new insight or perspective on something. And that's okay. Venus wants you to know that's all part of like growing and developing with life. And I do really love this loving compassion energy, because as well, like Venus is saying, where you're at to do with your own value, she thinks you're being quite harsh on yourself on some level. It's quite harsh and it's quite erratic, and it's just not, it's agitated. If Venus was to describe where your value is at to do with how you see yourself, she feels like it feels quite agitated. It feels sort of it's not peaceful. It's just I don't know, it kind of just feels a bit stressed, I suppose. And Venus is saying she thinks it's stressed over the expectations that you put on yourself, or the expectations that other people have put on you. And she's just saying like that doesn't need to be the case at all. And actually, the more compassion that you can give yourself, and the softer you can be with yourself, the more your self-value will naturally increase and stabilise. And then the love area and the money area, you'll know what to do, basically. You will know what to do is what I'm hearing. But I do also feel like with this, like the insights are coming to you. So remember when we said about in the beginning about it's almost like a sudden crack of sunlight that comes through on the sea. You have to look out for these little opportunities and moments, because life is going to be giving you these little opportunities and nuggets of insight about all of this. But you just need to be open to it. And in order to be open to it, you just don't need to not have any judgments on yourself. Because this also came up in another reading where Venus is like, look, I really don't judge myself. I'm really not into perfection. I understand. I'm accepting of all of me. And because I'm accepting of all of me, I don't really have too much fragmentation going off within me. And therefore, I don't have too much fragmentation going off within my life. And therefore, I'm able to work with many different situations and scenarios in life, whatever it throws up to me. And that then goes back to what we were saying about the healthy expression of these two energies coming together. It's not that they are equal in pay and all this other sort of crap. It's that they are equal in their management of life and their management of situations in life and their management of the highs and the lows. They know how to manage it in a grounded, stabilised way. And that's where this is something that Venus says, you know, is the direction for you to go in, to do with your self-value, your love life, your money life. That's kind of like the energy and frequency of where to head for. But now I'm just going to pull the last card. Let's see what we get. Oh, I love that as the last card. So it says, Dear, and it's trust. Approach the situation with a light heart. Yeah, and I mean, this is, I think, this is kind of what Venus is trying to say to do with the whole look. I'm not worried about perfection. I don't need to be perfect. I don't need anything else to be perfect. All I know is I just need to be accepting of what is, and then I will work with what is without judging it. I will navigate whatever comes up, and I will, I'm hearing like, and this is kind of a strange thing, but I'm hearing like I've got a light rudder. So I'm seeing that as like a boat and sailing, where, you know, it's kind of like at any moment, Venus is like, look, I can do a movement and adapt to the situation, because I don't have too many absolute hard fundamentals going off in my psychology about what is right for me, what is wrong for me, what is equality, what is whatever, who is the right person for me, what is the right job. I've got an idea, but I hold it quite loosely, so therefore I can navigate and move softly with life, instead of sometimes being so absolute about something and then running into some kind of brick wall. And I think that is the overall guidance of what Venus is kind of saying to you. But again, just coming back to this picture, I do really feel like it might really help for you to like work on opening up your higher heart chakra. So that is the chakra that is between your throat chakra and your heart chakra. Just go on YouTube, see if there's any meditations to do with that. I think that could really help stabilize and calm everything down, because Venus also wants you to know that all of this is available to you. And also, if some of you do have this, you will know from this reading, look, you understand this concept of being light with life, about not judging yourself too harshly, about not being too erratic about stuff, about seeing that everything in your life is managed in a certain sort of cohesive, holistic way. And really that's what Venus is saying right now. So I hope you enjoyed that reading. Obviously, if you're listening to this reading now, when it's actually been created, it's also Venus retrograde coming, so you might want to look at Venus retrograde for, you know, other insights. But obviously this reading itself is timeless. And then obviously if you'd like a reading from me, I can do any sort of psychic skill, the full spectrum. Just go to my website and you can see, and I would love to read for you. But other than that, have a great time and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye. So hi guys, this is for everybody that chose message number 4 for everything that Venus wants to tell you right now. So first thing we're going to do, so basically what we're going to do is look at love here, money here, and self-value here, value there, and then we'll bring it all together. We're going to start with a channeling okay, let's go with this one. Nice. So these aren't tarot cards, but it doesn't matter because everything's psychic really if you know how to read it. So this is the first image that we get up for you, and I'm really aware that's a stork there. So the first thing that I'm getting is this real feeling of a message coming. Venus is saying that a message is going to be coming, and it feels very much something about fertility. Now obviously for some of you that might be around a pregnancy, but you know, fertility is just kind of like the way that I'm seeing this is it's like the amplification of something that you're wanting, that you're working on, and it's the amplification of something that gives you a lot of pleasure and kind of like a really nice warm feeling inside. And I also really feel like it's going to come really quick and really fast after it's sort of like it's got, obviously this has got a very autumnal feeling to it. And it's not necessarily that I'm saying that this thing is going to be coming in autumn, although it might for some people, but it's more what I'm getting is that it comes after you let go of something. Something just needs to be released in order to let this new kind of new fertility, growth, abundance come on through. So what we'll do is we will put that together. We're going to put that together with the rest of the reading. Right, so here we go then. So let's go love first. We're not going to read anything reversed. And then we're going to go money here. And then we're going to go self-value here. Oh, 2 want to come out. 1, we'll go with that. Right, so we're going to start with money first. Love. No, money. Love, money. I don't know. Wait, love. We're going with love first. Okay, so the first card that we get here is 8 of Pentacles. Okay. So deep, not 8 of Pentacles, sorry, 7 of Pentacles. But me saying the 8 of Pentacles, it just feels like to do with the love area of your life, Venus wants you to know it is important to be reflecting on basically how much you have overcome and achieved so far in that area of your life. So it feels almost like there might have been some kind of challenges that have come on in that kind of love relating area, and it kind of feels like you've had to go through some lessons. It kind of feels quite Saturnian, so it feels like Saturn has really been teaching you how to level yourself up to do with relationships and relating and everything to do with that. But it does feel like there's some reflection that now needs to be going on. And then we also have 6 of Swords. Yeah, so this to me like pulls into the reflection part, where Venus is basically saying, look, you've come really far, you've achieved a lot, but there's still a little way to go yet. You're not quite there yet. So whatever is going on in the romantic areas of your life, it feels like it's progress. It feels like it's moving forward. I feel like for some of you, it's not moving forward as quickly as what you would like, or you are coming to a point where there's, you know when some people say 2 steps forward, 1 step back? It feels like you've done 2 steps forward and now there's 1 step back because you just need to reflect on something. You just need to... It's not, you don't need to analyse. I'm not feeling it as like you need to analyse what's been going off. It's more that you need to, in a very Venusian way, you need to look at how you've been investing your energy and how somebody has also been investing their energy in you, if that's relevant. If you're in a relationship or you're seeing somebody, or if you are still in a place where you don't have a relationship, again, it's really important to look about where it is you need to invest yourself in order to create a successful relationship, have a successful relationship, but also maybe what are the qualities and characteristics that you need to identify in the other person so that you know that this is a good investment going forward. Because Venus absolutely makes good investments. Venus is not going to be choosing a partner that drains her resources, drains her energy, drains her time, and specifically drains her life force energy. No way. Because if Venus's energy, if her life force energy starts to get drained, then her internal and external beauty and the beauty that she creates in her life will also start to be depleted. So it just feels like Venus is saying, like, look, there's a minute here. You just need to reflect on how you're investing your energy in a relationship, if you're in one, and also if you're not in one, how to go about investing your energy so you do create a successful one, and what are those important qualities and characteristics that that person needs in order to be a really good investment. And again, Venus is, for me, Venus is not a fickle energy. I think she's very, very smart and she's very, very savvy, because she knows above all else, I need to make sure I stay beautiful internally and externally, because then I will create external beauty and I will experience external beauty. And when I say beauty, I don't just mean about having a beautiful face or a beautiful body, although that can also be part of it, but it's more like just constantly experiencing that kind of beauty in your life, where you recognize beauty, if it's a sunset, if it's a little kid laughing, if it's a little palm running around. I say that lovingly because this is how I feel about Rupert. The point is, Venus is just aware, like, in order for her to be in her highest frequency, her highest potential, and not only be able to receive the most from life, but to also give back in a way that doesn't deplete her and amplifies herself and her reality, it's really important that she understands the investments and how she is investing. And I think as well with this, it very much feels like looking at what's working and looking at what's not working. So if you're in a relationship and it's going great, amazing. So you can reflect on that and you can give gratitude for that. If you're in a relationship and some things are coming up as like, now is the moment to work on something. Because remember, even the most amazing relationships, there's still going to be times when certain things happen, let's say astrologically, to each of those person's charts, which then will bring up themes to work through. And that's not about this not being an amazing relationship. It's just the constant evolving and dynamic changing and seasons of life. And there are seasons within the relationship too. So it might be a case of just reflecting on things, working out basically how to next best invest in this relationship or going forward. And again, with the Six of Swords, I feel like, again, this is often seen as something where you're going from like unsettled waters to calm waters. I do really feel like Venus is saying, look, if you make wise choices, make choices that honour yourself, your beauty, the beauty in your life, the pleasure in your life, and if you make choices in alignment with that as a direction, great things will come to you. And again, this is making me pull back into this one here about the abundance and the fertility type of energy that's coming through. But it comes through after letting go of something. So relevant to that, it does feel like there's something you need to reflect on to do with whatever relationship you're thinking about or working on or lack of or whatever it might be, and there is something that you need to see. I think it's probably something is being invested in a certain way that actually going forward is going to end up depleting you in the relationship. It's just like a slight adjustment. If you're in a really healthy relationship, all of this is it's a slight adjustment. Honour that slight adjustment now, and then obviously we're going to go straight into this amazing fertility, abundance, great. And then again, you know, wherever you're at, in a relationship or not in a relationship, there's just an investment of time or energy or resources or something which, if it continues going in that direction, Venus is saying it's going to end up depleting you, depleting the relationship. However, if you make the reflection now, if you make the savvy choice now, and if you work as a team, if you're in that relationship with that person, you can avoid this potential storm that's coming, and you can just navigate easily into the calmer waters. But something needs to be reflected on to do with the investment of something which ends up being depleting. So that could be an emotional thing, a time thing, a mental thing, a physical thing, a resource thing. It can be anything. It's going to be different for all of you, so you need to think about that. And I also think you need to think about this if you're trying to date and it's not being successful. Venus is saying, look, it's because you're investing your energy in a way, in a person, in a personality type, in something which is just basically depleting and takes you more into problematic waters than calm waters. And Venus is saying you need to go to calm waters. And funny enough, even though this looks waterfall is not a calm water, the waterfall for me has quite an energetic, abundant, joyful feeling to it. Rather than it being a storm, it's like a lot of energy, but it's it's a lot of energy that makes something even more beautiful, let's say. And that's the way that your energy needs to be going. So that's what we're getting for the love part so far. For the money part, we have Four of Pentacles, and then and then we have Three of Cups. Okay. It's interesting because this sort of message, not quite the same, but sort of came out on one of the other piles. But funny enough, it came off to do with their value, although it was related into the money. But this is it. Whenever I see the Three of Cups and the Four of Pentacles, and Venus is coming in and giving her guidance, obviously Venus loves having a great time. Venus loves pleasures. And all of these kind of things. But again, Venus is saying, look, if what you're doing money-wise, it's really important you've got to find the joyful aspect, the pleasurable aspect of what you are doing in your job right now, or in your career, or whatever it is that basically brings money to you. And it's about, you've got to lock in, I'm hearing it's really important to lock in a certain belief system that allows you to find the pleasure in whatever it is you are doing right now to make money, because you're going to make more money if you start to feel the pleasure from what it is you're doing. Now, obviously all jobs are going to have, whether you've got your own business or you work for somebody or whatever it is, all aspects of anything, there are sometimes some more lower spots, more mundane energy that comes with it that could be seen as a bit dull or boring. But what Venus is saying is, it's just right now, it's really important for you to be focusing on whatever it is within the job, or the way that you earn money, or the way that you receive money. Like, it's not even the gratitude, but find the enjoyment in it, is what I'm hearing. Like, find the pleasure in it. So let's just say you're doing a certain type of job or whatever, and there's something that you really don't like. Fair enough, you just get on and do it. But there's always going to be something that you do enjoy, whether it's just speaking to a certain client, whether it's just I don't know what it could be. It could be 1,001 different things. There's always an aspect of your job that you do really enjoy, and it's about just really, when you're doing that bit of the job that you enjoy, really, really focusing on it and locking down on it, and kind of like, if you could almost put that feeling into a bottle, like a perfume bottle, so that you could then access it and spray it on you when you're doing the other parts of the jobs that you don't enjoy so much. That again would help to build up this like momentum of abundance, because I do really get this feeling with this pile that Venus is really trying to say, look, there is a lot of abundance coming your way, and a lot of new kind of things coming your way that you'll really enjoy, but there's just a few little adjustments that are needing to be made very much on a physical level, although they also are psychological. But basically, by making making the psychological shifts, both what we talked about in the relationship to do with this investment type of energy, and understanding if that investment is going to be draining in the future or if it's going to be amplifying in the future, and obviously you need to adjust accordingly. And the same thing with the job here. I suppose a lot of this is all about how you're focusing the part of your energy field that, say, relates to pleasure, because we're going to have that in the same way in our brains. There's different parts that light up to do with pleasure. Well, Venus is very aware of the parts of your aura, your energy field within everybody that resonate to do with pleasure, and she's really saying it's really about like honouring those and really starting to activate those, particularly in the workplace. And she's also saying that the more that you can activate what it is that you enjoy on your day-to-day, the more that you'll start to understand where an adjustment needs to be made in the relating part of your life, because it's going to become very clear. Now let's just see what's going on here. So we have Two of Swords, and we have, oh wow, the Hanged Man. Wow, so a decision to be made about a new perspective. Again, that kind of makes sense with this and this, to be honest. And then Death card and a big transformation. Okay, right, so when it comes to your self-value, or where you're at with your value, rightly so, given what's just been said here, Venus is saying, look, there does need to be a change in perception. Hanged Man, it's really important that you get a change in perception about where you're at with your value. Because right now it kind of feels like, in terms of where you resonate to do with your value, and how much you value yourself will depend on then how much somebody else will value you, and how much your work, job, income, money or whatever will value you. And it does feel like, again, we know that something needed to be let go of in order to bring a lot of abundance in. And here it's going into a bit more clarity to do with that really you're at a stalemate to do with, like, you can't really gain much more in your life to do with where you sit with value until you change your slight perception on where you sit with value, if that makes sense. You kind of need to raise your game, is what I'm hearing, so that you have a transformation to do with that area. And it does involve around changing your perspective on something. Now, actually, because this is a bit more complicated, I'm just going to pull a couple more cards. 1 second. Whoop. So, Four of Cups and King of Cups. Okay, so really what this massively feels is, when I get the King of Cups, and it was a feeling I was getting anyway, you know, this pile, it's really, you've got to start opening up your heart, and it's safe. It is safe to invest more of yourself in everything that you're doing. So invest more of yourself to do with the relating part of your life. Invest more of yourself to do with whatever job, whatever it is that you're doing right now. And it just feels like it's about opening up a little bit more. So not being so conservative with decisions that you might be making. But more than decisions, Venus is saying, like, you're being quite conservative with almost like the pleasure part of your aura. So you're kind of, you're protecting it. You're kind of keeping it safe, because it's kind of like you feel like you can only have so much pleasure in your life, or there's only so much pleasure to go around, or there isn't that much pleasure to go around. So you're kind of like very kind of almost energetically stingy with how much you let yourself experience pleasure, and so you're more likely to focus on what's not going quite so well as what is going well at the moment. Because again, with the Four of Cups, I know that this is an energy where you're going to be focusing, you're kind of focusing on, I don't know, it's almost like you're kind of focusing on the mundane of stuff without seeing the magic and the beauty in life. And again, like we talked about earlier, Venus is all about recognising beauty within herself, around herself, and every which way. So also for some of you, I do feel like you maybe have, at times, maybe not now, maybe not now, it depends where you sit, but you've probably had issues with not thinking that you are attractive enough, or not feeling confident enough, or not feeling that you are good enough for some reason or other. And again, it just feels like that's only just because for some reason I think you've been trained to focus on the mundane, like trained to focus on what's not going right compared to what is going right. And it's just about a bit of a switch up with that now. Because again, I just feel like, you see this cup here, the one that the universe is holding out, that this person is missing. It feels like this is what you need to be focusing on. And funny enough, the other card that we pulled out at the same time is the King of Cups. And I do feel like the King of Cups is holding on to that cup that the universe gave. So the King of Cups has been able to open up his heart enough, open himself up enough to life, and almost trust that there is enough enjoyment in life, there is enough pleasure to go around in life, that you can start to notice it everywhere, all the way around you. And that's something that I massively feel with this. So again, with this Hanged Man, I think when it comes to value, it's like, it's sort of like, sometimes people have this thing, and I think it's like kind of a poverty consciousness thing. It's that sort of energetic frequency where whatever it is that they really value, they feel they have to hold on tightly to, like they cannot share it, like they might lose it, like it might be taken away from them, that they need to shut it away and protect it in somewhere safe, because there's not much of it going around. And so therefore it's like a precious, rare commodity. And funny enough, this is the analogy that I'm getting. Believe it or not, diamonds, I was watching this documentary with my partner, diamonds are one of the most abundant stones in nature. So even though they're being sold to us at an extortionate rate, supposedly because they're so rare, actually they're one of the most abundant gemstones on earth. It's just the way it's been marketed to us. But in the same way, Venus is like, look, this is like the same thing with pleasure. There is so much pleasure in life, there's so much pleasure to be had, there's so much joy to be had, that you don't have to be protecting that part of your energy field that resonates with pleasure, and like, oh no, I can only experience so much pleasure, and then I need to cause a problem, or then I need to set up some difficulty, so that then I just hold on to that pleasure and it doesn't all get drained away. Venus is saying, like, this is a funky perspective that doesn't actually make sense, and it's a perspective that's very much through, like I say, this poverty consciousness thing about there not being enough. And so because there isn't enough, you must hold on to what you've got and keep it tucked away and hidden away under the bed so that you don't lose it. But Venus is trying to say to you, look, that is not reality. And actually, there's just so much pleasure to go around. And you can find pleasure in everything, even the mundane. Even the mundane you can find pleasure in. And when you start doing that, it's going to really start to open you up. And you're going to understand how to make better long-term investments that amplify your pleasure in the future, rather than making choices right now that just keep you. It's like we're talking about pleasure almost as if it's like a bank balance. Like, you've got so much pleasure in your energy field, and you don't want to go into debt to do with it, but also you don't want to overspend to do with it. I don't know, there's too much restriction going on to do with the pleasure areas of your life. And really, Venus is saying, like, look, trust me, there's enough pleasure to go around 20 billion times over for every single person. It's just the perception, and it's a perception that on some level is a poverty consciousness thing that society is created in some way to set up almost like a strange sort of hierarchy to do with not just money, but to do with pleasure. And Venus is saying actually that with a lot of her themes like beauty, pleasure, money, luxury, a lot of these have been used by society to set up almost like a hierarchy and make it seem that you can only have a lot of this if you have it in this way. Whereas Venus is just like, this is total bullshit. I own these things fully as a frequency, and I'm telling you they are limitless and they are available and free to everybody. It's just that you have to start being able to perceive a way of sensing it and therefore experiencing it in that way, instead of being kind of like locked into some of these limiting beliefs that society and collective consciousness has created. I totally didn't think this reading was going to go that way, but anyway, there we go. Now let's just pull a couple more. Let's pull a couple more oracle. I love this when this happens with readings. Sometimes you just have, I have zero idea where I think they're going to go, and they just suddenly, obviously they just take on a life force of their own, depending on the energy of everybody that is choosing this pile. So yeah, I really love it. It's always surprising. Right, so just one more. Whoop! And now there's a few there, so we'll do it again. What else needs to bring it all together? Right. So giraffe, the bigger picture, take a step back and gather your thoughts and feelings. Yeah, so this is very much this reflecting energy here. I do really feel that we talked about in the relationship aspect, but also reflecting here also with the Hanged Man. I do think, again, like we said from the very beginning, something needs to be let go of so that load of abundance can come in. And this is something where you just got to spend a bit of time reflecting and seeing the bigger picture. And I think we just channeled there the much, much bigger abstract picture about what is going on here, about the fact that there's a belief somewhere that there's only so much pleasure to go around and that you have to hold on to it and just not be overly indulgent with pleasure because there is only so much to go around, and actually too much pleasure is a bad thing. But really, like Venus is saying, what a crock of shit. Quite literally, that's just something like society has created. It's almost like a control mechanism. I mean, that's okay. We all understand. We all control each other in different ways. It's part of being human, yada, yada, yada. But also we can be understanding and aware of these motivations and manipulations of others and society. And therefore we can be free to make our own choices. And I do really think that that is a big theme that's going on here. So luminescence. So this for me also reminds me of your natural frequency colour set. And really all this really means is, look, you need to just follow yourself as your guide for now, to do things to do with pleasure. Venus is saying, look, trust your own soul, your higher self, your own human self to know what is best for you and to understand that things really aren't limited and that you can touch into pleasure in any moment. And then here we have finding connections. Oh, I love that. And let me just turn this one over as well. Oh, wow. I had a feeling I had to turn over this one with this one. And no wonder, because the other one's called Finding Connections and then the other one is Connections. So that's like a really strong message there. I just, I feel like Venus wants you to know that people that have chosen this pile in particular, you will gain so much happiness and so much pleasure from connections of people around you. And I actually feel like for this pile, again, I know society has very much taught us that we, particularly women, strong independent women, don't need a man, don't need a partner. And obviously, I don't mean to put it down as a gender, whatever, because, just find somebody that you love, whether it's a woman, another woman, whether it's another man, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, doesn't matter. But it does just feel like, for you guys are going to get so much pleasure, so much happiness through finding and being in a loving, secure relationship. And I think that is as well where Venus is like, look, do invest your time and energy in that. Do understand that this is something important. Because as well, like finding connections. I mean, come on, could this be any more obvious that, look, Venus is saying, and we've talked a lot about pleasure in this reading, and Venus is just quite literally saying, look, you will find a lot of pleasure in your intimate one-on-one relationships. And that is something for you to be focusing on, and it is really important. And just because we brought up society randomly to do this whole thing about pleasure and there not being enough, I do feel like Venus is giving me the feeling that a lot of people that have chosen this pile, you do have some beliefs to let go of that are really things that society have told you which aren't actually best for you personally. And again, with the Hanged Man, seeing things from a new perspective. And again, with the Three of Cups, don't focus on life the way everybody else is, because you're special in some way. You can work with life in a unique way. But in order to do that, you need to also go beyond what society is telling you. And so I suppose this part very much has an Aquarian feel to it. So it wouldn't surprise me if when Pluto moves into Aquarius, which I think is at the end of this year, so this is a timeless reading, but it's going to be in Pluto's going to be in Aquarius for 20 years, basically from 2024. So I'm sure you'll listen to this reading sometime within 20 years from this point. It's just really saying, look, you are unique, you are different. Be mindful you're not getting influenced by society, and society is not draining your energy and your resources. Because remember, Venus has got this real thing about her energy being depleted and drained through things that take away her unique sense of beauty. And I think that's one thing that is really coming out here as well as a message. Look at the bigger picture, reflect, and make sure that you're focusing on the bits of beauty everywhere that feel good for you, and make sure that you're doing things that make sense to you. And that's not, for this pile, that's not going to be following the status quo. I really don't feel like this pile is a status quo pile, because also, you know, the giraffe sees the world so much different to almost any other mammal on earth, because it's so tall, and look at its neck. And again, I think the same thing with you. I think you're very, very unique. But I think, you know, we talked about a lack of confidence somewhere, and maybe not feeling good enough or not feeling attractive enough. And I just think it's because you come in a different way. You come in a different sort of form, which society hasn't always said is that, oh yeah, this is the status quo. This is like the head boy, the head girl. This is like the, I don't know, just person in charge or whatever. Whereas really, I think you are somebody that could really be a leader, but you've got to do things your way. Do things your way, and don't listen to society. And you in particular, not that you're not strong or independent and all of these things, but you will thrive so much through connection. And there's so much for you to gain from this, because I think in connection, this is when you're really going to start to just see how beautiful you are through the eyes of another. And the eyes of the other are going to also help you have the confidence to start to let go of these limiting beliefs and open up to so much abundance and fertility that can follow you once you start investing in your true self. So that is the message I get for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, check out all of the other readings. Do monthly ones for zodiac signs. Please check out your sun, moon and rising sign. Also use them as, you can pick 12 messages on that. So every single month you can do a random pick a card out of 12. So you really can't get much more personalised reading than that each month, I don't think. But anyway, hope you enjoy it. Check out my website if you want readings, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye. Hi guys, so this is for everybody that chose message number 5 for what Venus wants to tell you. So I'm going to split this reading up into love here, money here, and then value here, because the value is going to make an effect on the love and on the money part of your life. So let's see. First of all though, we're going to choose one of these cards as like a vision thing that we'll work with. They're not tarot, but to be fair, it just doesn't matter. Because obviously shamans know that they can read anything psychically, from the clouds to like the leaves, because essentially that frequency and that message is everywhere. It's just how you want to tune into it, basically. So let's see what we get. Oh wow, Yellowstone National Park. Okay, Yellowstone. I've been watching that Yellowstone Kevin Costner Netflix thing, or Amazon Prime, whatever. I do really love it. I don't know what it is, but I always totally love Netflix that are to do with family businesses. I literally just cannot get enough of it. I love it so much. Anyway, what are we feeling here? So I'm getting a very, very powerful feeling. So much power feels like it's coming through in this reading, because obviously those animals are incredibly powerful, but then also look at all of that. If it's water, I think it's water or steam or something coming out of the land there. So it just feels like Venus is saying, get ready. Get ready, but get ready for what? Let's see. So, well, first of all, pull all the cards out. So this is for love, this is for money, and this is for your own value and where you're at with all of that. We're not going to read anything reversed, so let's see what we get. So, love. Ooh, the Star card. Ah, that just feels again like, I don't know why I'm getting this feeling of like Kundalini rising, and then almost like energy coming down as a result. I can't really describe it, but anyway, we'll find out more. And oh wow, okay, so I think a big thing's coming out here is please don't fear your own power to do with your own sexual energy and to do with intimacy, whether that you have fear of intimacy physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, or a combination of those. I'm just really feeling so instantly strongly, do not fear your own, like your own beauty and your own power and your own sensual energy. Because let's say Mars is very much the sexual energy, but Venus is very much the sensual energy. I can't say that word, but I'm just getting this feeling really, really strongly. And don't resist your own vulnerability. You know, when it comes to relationships, don't resist your own vulnerability, is what I'm hearing. Because in the star card, this person is naked. So obviously they're like very vulnerable in that state. And then having the Eight of Swords next to it just tells me there's a resistance to whatever this state is. Or there's some kind of like a feeling of being trapped. And it feels like you're just not able to fully express yourself in that way. So when it becomes to the love area of your life, Venus is really saying, like, number one, it's not even about trust, because Venus doesn't even function through the frequency of trust. Venus is more like, because Venus's life is so full of beauty, and she is the epitome of beauty in every which way, not just physically, but every part of her life, everything that she touches, everything that touches her, it's this full-on dance of beauty and harmony and luxury. So for Venus, she doesn't even understand the concept of basically this energy, which is, it's like protective, it's like fearful, it's like alone, because that's one thing that Venus never feels. And actually the star card is almost like the antithesis of this card, because whereas this energy is so restricted, it's got like a force field around it, and there's so much protection everywhere, so much protection in fact that you're actually all bound up and you're fully restricted. Whereas this card here is completely open, not just with their own body fully open, fully naked, but all of life is interconnected with this person. And that really is Venus's energy. And it feels like currently that might be your energy, to do with love areas of your life. And definitely to do with also, it's not just love, it's also sensual, the sensual touches. So, you know, like modern day world can be very, oh God, freaking hell. It can be so like hyper masculine in terms of like achieve, do, achieve, do, success, achieve, do this, fit this, do this, fit that, and blah, 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 blah. It's just too much. And Venus is just like, look, there is no beauty in that space, like all work and no play. It is just not a good space to be at for you to fully start working with the Venusian energy that you have inside you. And we all have Venusian energy inside us. It's all in our astrology charts. It's also all in our energy fields. And Venus is just really saying, look, it really is time now to kind of really start opening yourself up to all of life. But like I say, although it could seem like the word is trust, it's really not trust. It's just more, if anything, Venus is saying it's more like the word play. Play with life, like enjoy the pleasure of life. Because usually playing games can be pleasurable, right? You do it for fun. And Venus sits in that space of kind of like the pleasure, the fun, the beauty of things. And I'm just really getting that. So I think as well, you know, if it's to do with intimacy, if you're coming to, let's say you're in a really loving relationship, I'm going to do through the spectrum, because you're all going to be, it's the same frequency. But for example, if we're talking about the colour purple, some of you might be dark purple, light purple, indigo purple. There's all these different shades, but it's still purple. So I am talking to you about the actual frequency, and then it's just where on that frequency you sit. So let's just say, first of all, you're in a relationship and it's going really well. Great. What I think Venus is saying is, you know what, just keep being more vulnerable, keep sharing more of yourself, keep doing some more pleasurable things together, maybe even try kinky, sexy things, like just mix it all up a little bit, but continue having fun together, exploring each other, and also go with the cues of the universe. Because whenever I see the star card, I do really think this is the universe talking, and the person here being able to channel the universe. So I think as well, Venus is saying, look, you know, this is a relationship, if it's healthy at the moment, where actually the two of you can be very in tune and very in flow with life. So keep listening to that and become even more sensitive to those subtle cues, so that you can really flow with life in that wonderful way. And like mix things up is what I'm hearing. So now, if you're then the opposite end and you're not in a relationship and you're not able to get into one, Venus is saying, look, it's really time to look at the vulnerability aspect of where you sit, and particularly to do with emotional vulnerability and physical vulnerability for some of you. Although for a lot of you, this feels more like emotional vulnerability. It feels like it's just really important to take down that force field to do with that kind of energy. And although it's not about trust, because Venus is saying if you try and think, okay, I need to open up and trust, you're going to block yourself, because that is a difficult way to get around this. Because if you did trust, there wouldn't be the boundaries up anyway. So the fact there are the boundaries up means that you don't trust. So to say to trust is like, well, friggin' hell, like I would if I could, but I can't. So what Venus is saying is go about this in a different way. Go about it in her way. Go about it as more of a game, as more, she's saying like an experiment as well. So like see certain encounters with people, if you're dating or stuff like that, is don't take it to the long-term goal. Is this a person I want to be with forever? This isn't the right person, block them off. It's more like just play with what is, explore with what is, and listen to the universe. Life is going to tell you. You'll get really strong feelings. Should I see them again? Should I not? Should I? And Venus is saying stay very open to the messages that the universe is going to give you, and just go with them. And this isn't about trusting the universe. This is about playing with the universe, which is very, very different. Because when you play a game, let's say you lose the game, it's really not the end of the world. Not to us as adults now, it's not. You know, it's not the same thing as like, oh, right, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm trusting life. Oh, no, and now it's gone wrong, but I trusted life, so now I don't trust life. So what I think Venus is trying to say is the psychology and the setup of how you go into this can really help you rather than hinder you. But to do that, you can't look at it in terms of, okay, I'm going to open up and trust, because sometimes that is a 50-50. And then if it doesn't work, you're going to go back into this space again of feeling lack of trust and feeling you need to protect yourself. So the way around this is you need to go about it in a different way. Okay, I'm going to play with life. Life says, try a date with this person. Okay, I'm going to try it. Great. Then life says, okay, just give it another go. Okay, so I'm going to give it another go. It's just got a lot more of a lighter touch to it than going in hardcore with like, oh, I think life says I need to trust it. Okay, I'm going to trust it. It goes too heavy. Like Venus says, that's going into the realms of Scorpio, and you want to really go more into the realms of Pisces and Gemini with this kind of feel, which is a lot lighter, a lot more open, and a lot more playful. So that's what I'm really kind of getting with here. But as well, I do really feel as well, I think lots of, if you are in a relationship too, I think you could have loads of sexual healing with this partnership. I think it could be very incredibly healing for both of you, and it can really help open up a lot of your own and their chakra centers and power points in this relationship. So obviously I've mixed it up with being in a relationship, not being in a relationship, but that same sort of frequency and setup applies. Now let's go into the money aspect. Oh, cool. So this is almost like the wild card. It's the card that's specific to this deck, and I kind of see it's holding every single energy of every single card of the 78 cards in this card. So it's incredibly powerful with money. And then a King of Pentacles. Okay. I find this really interesting. Lots is coming out in this pile, I think, to do with power, and that the people that have chosen this card, I think you've got a really strong Venusian energy. And that energy could play out in many ways. You could have squares to Pluto, so Venus-Pluto squares. You could also have, I don't know, Pluto trines even with Venus. Or you could have like, I don't know, you've just got some really strong energy going off in your chart and in your frequency to do with Venus. And I think Venus also wants to say, don't fear the power that you have and the ability that you have to really enjoy self, enjoy life, create a lot of abundance. Also maybe attract a lot of attention, because Venus can attract a lot of attention, and sometimes that can be very uncomfortable for certain people. And I think some of you, particularly with this, you also might find that you don't feel that comfortable with attracting too much attention, and particularly in that kind of like lustful type of way. You might really sense that and feel that from others, and it could feel very intimidating to you. But Venus is actually saying, look, you can learn to work with this. If you don't fear your own power, whatever that power is, then actually you can start to use that power to great benefits to your life. And Venus is also saying, look, the thing about having great power is just make sure you are plugged into the universe, because obviously you do want to make sure that that power that you have is going to run through your life in a way that will be creating more beauty, harmonious and happiness instead of explosions. So to do that, Venus as well is saying that you've got to understand how to flow that energy, because you don't want to get that energy stuck and stagnant, because when you get energy stuck and stagnant, then it ends up creating a pressure cooker moment at some point, and then things blow up. But anyway, sorry, now I need to come back onto this, but that, what I just described then relates to all areas of your life. I can feel it. So just be very aware that you have that strong frequency within you, and it is a blessing, not a curse, but you do understand, you do need to learn how to work with it, and you definitely need to understand not to fear it, and also not to abuse it. And by that I mean manipulate others with the power that you have. Anyway, so now going on here, this is to do with the money. Again, a really powerful card, but with the Knight of Pentacles, I just think Venus is saying, look, you just need to keep going, because although you have a lot of power and you have a lot more ability than many other people, life might be a little bit more, it may appear a bit more restrictive with you, i.e. somebody else can get great results through doing half of what you do, and it's not because of any other reason other than life has really high expectations for you, because you also have high expectations for you. And again, Venus is saying, look, don't make this into some heavy thing, like some daunting task. Just see it as more of, again, a game, and that also you have the ability to experience so much more than other people, and that in itself is exciting and exhilarating and can give you a lot of pleasure. So there's almost like a bit of a reframing there, I think, to do with money stuff. So if it feels like money stuff is coming quite slowly to you, or it feels like business projects are going slow, or some work situation is going slow, don't worry about it. Just keep finding a way to don't let frustrations build up, is what I'm hearing is really important. Do not let frustrations build up. I think this is super important. And also, you know, with the Yellowstone, again, I keep feeling this really strong energy of power that you guys have, because it's making me think of the solar plexus. And you see the solar plexus as well. When the solar plexus starts to be fearful, oh my God, the sort of force field that the solar plexus puts up can be just so powerful. And again, so obviously we talked about that, you need to be careful. But also with this card here, and this is to do with money, I do see that you could create so much, so much. But what I do feel is life, because you have a lot of power, life is going to make sure that you only get a lot once you're in a place where you can handle it and you can contain it. So what I mean by that is, you know, sometimes, you know, some people say, oh gosh, I suddenly got a whole load of money out of nowhere and I didn't know what to do with it. So in the end, I ended up like losing it all and this, that and the other, because essentially it was just so uncomfortable to be in that position of having so much more money. And I just feel like because you guys have the ability to create so much wealth, because you have so much power and you have a strong connection with the universe, life is also being it's being naturally protective to you. So you don't need to protect yourself, because life is naturally doing this for you. And life is saying, like, look, you just have to work consistently put in the efforts over a long period of time, and as you get to a place where you can handle and maintain these new resources coming to you, then life will give them to you, because life wants to help you. And if it was to give you everything that you could have straight away, you would actually lose it, because you would actually fear a part of your power again, as we've seen that sometimes you can have to do with intimacy and relationships. So another thing with this is Venus is saying the quickest way for you to gain more wealth as well is to find a way to be comfortable and happy with your own power, because you do have a lot of power, instead of fearing that power. And also Venus is saying as well, be careful that you don't get into relationship connections, or you don't create toxic dramas in healthy relationships as just a way to burn off excess power and energy that you don't know what to do with. So you do something destructive with it instead of doing something creative with it. And I really feel like that feels bang on. So now, oh wow, the message before you also had this as their first card with value. So we have Two of Swords, and then we also have Eight of Wands. Okay, I just want to pull one more card for you guys as well with this. Let me just see. The Fool. Oh, I love the Fool. Fool's one of my favourite cards. Right, so, you know, in terms of where your values are, I feel like a couple of things. So for some of you, I feel like recently you've had a real shift in your own sense of value. And for some reason, your sense of value comes through a sense of purpose. So it feels like you've got a newfound purpose, whether that is you've become a parent, you've got a new job, you've become a business owner, you've set up a passion. I don't know, something has happened, and it feels like for some of you, you've gained a whole new sense of value through a purpose that you feel is uniquely yours and relevant to do, and it was something you were always born to do, let's say. And I feel like that has quickly increased your sense of value. And as a result, many things will sort of filter down through your life as a result of you having increased your value in that way. Now, for those of you where that hasn't happened, I feel like a choice is coming, or it's not even a choice. I feel like unconsciously, subconsciously, you are working through things. So maybe your dream state is really active, whether you're aware of it or not, because your subconscious, unconscious is working through things, because you're on the precipice. You're quite literally, and those look both like the precipice really, you're on the precipice of having a completely new shift in your sense of value. And again, for some reason, really strongly, your sense of value feels like it's coming through your sense of a purpose. And I don't really know why that is, but it just feels very strongly. And I also feel like you guys as souls, you know, I see different souls, they have their consciousness coming out of all different parts of their body. For you, I really feel like your consciousness comes out of your solar plexus, and power is just such an important point. But also this is interesting, because why is Venus going on about purpose? Because she's not necessarily somebody that's driven through purpose. But obviously that's the message that she's coming out with quite strongly today. So just give me 1 second so I can clarify that. So Venus is saying, look, the reason why purpose comes out as something that increases your value is because you have such a strong solar plexus, where a lot of personal power is. That personal power does need to be channeled into a direction, and ideally it needs to be channeled into a purpose which is greater than just something that you gain from. Because again, although Venus is something that, an energy that receives, she receives and then she reciprocates. And Venus is saying, like, this is one of the main ways that you can receive energy and you can reciprocate it, and you can create like beauty in your life through that harmonious flow and interchange of energy, which is something that Venus really does constantly to create beauty in her life. And this sense of purpose is really, really important. And I suppose this, you know, with me saying about Yellowstone and that Netflix that I do really like, they do have a really strong sense of purpose, because they have like this family business type thing that they run. They you know, I don't know, they all come together for the same reason. And even though they have lots of problems within their relationships between them all, it's this one sense of purpose that binds them all together and constantly brings them back together. And it kind of feels like that is a really important energy for you to have in your life, and it will create so much more beauty and harmony in your life if you have a strong purpose. And like I say, for some of you already, you've already got that strong purpose, and things are going to start accelerating very quickly in a beautiful way because of that. And for others of you, you are on the pathway, just subconsciously, unconsciously, you're getting to that point where you're going to have this full shift in awareness about exactly what your purpose is, and then you're going to go headlong into it. But one thing to always remember is, remember, you guys have so much power, so you just need to make sure that you are honouring that power and allowing the universe to help guide you with that power, because obviously with great power comes great responsibility, and this is something that I do think you guys need to be aware of. Now, let me just pull a few oracle. But also as well, I just want to get to the point where Venus is just like, look, this power is designed to give you a very beautiful life. And that's why Venus is going on about this. So also this thing with this is, it's probably, you know, wherever your North Node is, that's also probably something that is really important for you to be honouring. And you might find that some of you guys actually have Venus square your nodes in some way. So this Venusian energy really needs to be acknowledged within your like karmic destiny, as it were. So let's just see what we have here. Oh, nice. So we have new beginnings. So that new beginnings completely also goes with the Fool. And like I say, this is coming. For some of you guys, you've already had this awareness. For some of you, on the precipice of it. But for others of you, all of you, it is coming. And then we have Cats. Speak your truth. Have strength, faith and conviction in your voice. It has never been needed before. Now, I think this is again about your purpose. I think your voice, for me, it just feels like it's something to do with your purpose. And again, like we very much talked about the solar plexus, another centre of purpose, actually, that is also yellow is your ninth chakra, your soul star chakra, which is a gold star above your head. It holds all of the frequency and information that helps drive you in the direction of your highest potential. I think it's actually, if you could do some meditations on that, if you're into meditating, that would be amazing. Then we have eyes wide open. I think this is this thing about with great power becomes great responsibility. And I think it's really important that you start to recognise yourself and acknowledge yourself as a very powerful being and a very powerful individual who's probably got quite a strong destiny in this lifetime. And I think it's about you not being naive to that anymore, because I think that's also going to help you step up, actually. And I think that's also going to help you really lock and load into your purpose. And like I say, this purpose could be anything. It could be being a parent, it could be being a partner, it could be sorting out a business, it could be doing an artistic project, it could just be finding a community and being part of a tribe. I mean, like, somebody's purpose can be massively wide. It can be so wide. And so I think obviously with this, I suppose, eyes wide open or ears wide open, I think just be open that if you don't know your purpose, don't put any expectations on what it is, because it isn't necessarily, oh, my purpose is to make £20 billion, or my purpose is to save this person, or my purpose is to like create this invention that saves the population. I mean, these are really big things, but actually it's also all the small, what seem like smaller things, but which are just as beautiful, which can also be your purpose. And I think it's really important because that you recognise this, because everybody's purpose is different and no purpose is more special and more important than any other purpose. So again, just with the eyes wide open. For example, let's say this, right? You could be somebody where you've got a super successful business. So let's say for many people, they might think, oh, you're achieving your purpose because you're making loads of money and you've got your own business. But your unique soul, guess what your purpose is? Your purpose is to be able to be a super loving, intimate partner. It's got nothing to do with your job, your business, or your money. So I think just be very open to the purpose can be anything, and it's not necessarily what you think. So yeah, I think this is really important. And then also we have here fire. Ooh, I like that. And that also looks a bit like Kundalini. And funny enough, I did get this sense of Kundalini in the very beginning with these two cards here. So I think the thing with Kundalini is an energy again. I think this can really help people identify with their purpose, and it can definitely help unblock chakras, places where energy is unbalanced, and particularly where energy is blocked. And I do think there's a sense of unblocking something from this very beginning one here. And with all the Venus things, I think as well, it's like, it's, I think you've got to unblock your expectations of what you believe is going to bring you a luxurious, pleasurable life. Because I think for a lot of you, it's not necessarily what you might think it might be. It's something slightly different. And just by being open to that concept, I think is going to open up a whole new perspective. And with that, a new beginning. I really do. So yeah. Okay, so I'm going to leave that reading there. I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, please check out all my other readings. Every single month I do the zodiac signs, so look at your sun, moon and rising sign, and also within that video there's like 12 options to read from as a wild card option, so you can just use one of the 12 crystals to see which one you're attracted to, and then you can get an even more personalized reading. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you'd like a reading of any sort, I do every type of psychic reading because for me it's all the same frequency. I know how to work with all of it. Then just go to my website. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this reading and I will speak to you soon. Bye.